Hi, I'm Dr. Johnny, and today I'm talking about Sculptra. I woke up to 8 questions on my phone this morning by way of Sculptra injectors, wondering about all kinds of different things, some problems, some great things, some methodology, and it prompted me to make this video. I'm going to talk about 3 or 4 things now. The first thing is, to inject Sculptra, it's non-reversible. It's not a hyaluronic acid. You really got to be careful where you use it and how you use it. Think back to your training and go by those guidelines and start with the basics for at least 4 to 6 months, depending on your practice, maybe 400 to 500 patients of doing the basics. What do I mean by that? For many years, all I did were temples and high cheeks in a very specific manner because that's what I was really missing in my practice, and I wanted that dermal thickening, that glow, and that lift. And I liked it for the temple because I could pull back on the periosteal level and I could tell, first of all, that's a safer level, but if I'm in a vessel, there's no hyaluronic acid in my needle. It's a water. It's a very unique property of Sculptra. Problem is, people fail to train on Sculptra, and it's probably the most important product to train on. So it's nothing you can learn from YouTube. We're presenting concepts, but it's about a $10,000 to $15,000 investment in yourself, I would say, to learn Sculptra properly, and then refreshers or having a lifeline of whoever trained you to talk to them along the way for many years to come, because it's an art, it's ever evolving, and every face is treated somewhat differently based on their skin texture, type, thickness, and the depth of injection. The first level to start injecting Sculptra is the periosteal level, or deep. I consider soft tissue injection, if you choose to do it, an advanced technique where you're having to assess the skin thickness, dermal thickness, the patient's fat in the face. So less fat, the more chance you're going to feel or see a lump or bump. And we all spend money on going to university to the tune of $70,000 or $80,000 a year, but to spend $5,000, $10,000 or $15,000 to learn a skill that's going to you're going to have the rest of your life in practice and do very well financially on is a little foreign to people, but it's really important because how we use it in real life has nothing to do with the label, which is from the HIV lipoatrophy days, and that's really not a safe way to do it. You got to go by the consensus paper. So the number one thing in all of this I want to say is videos and watching things online are not for training. It's to get concepts, to get ideas, and to point you in a direction there to get training. And for many people who've injected a lot for many years, of course, it's interesting to see what other people are doing. You have to be like a helicopter pilot to inject this product. That means methodical, checks, balances, and rechecks, and do it the same every time for a given circumstance. So the number one thing that I want to talk about that I was asked is dilutions. First of all, I use anything from 6 to 1 all the way up to 36 to 1. And dilutions, if people are asking about dilutions, it's so specific to what you're doing, the depth you're going to. It's an impossible single answer. And a lot of people that ask that probably haven't been fully trained and are trying to do it in an area in a way that they've never done before. And I think with something non-reversible, it's most important to get a 3 to 4 hour training on that particular area. And when you get a training, train with someone who's doing it in their practice every week. So many people are opportunistic trying to train on these products that have never used them in real life before. So whoever is going to train you, pick someone who's done a lot of this. So that leads into the second thing I want to talk about, which is depth of injection. It's mainly a periosteal product, particularly the upper face. That's your safer plane. As you go to the lower face, one of the places you can get concepts from for how I do it, and there's many ways to do it, is going to plasmasculpt.com. That's largely how I use it in the lower face. Sculptra is very unique. It's absolutely incredible in what it does. But using it in the preauricular area, you can coat a large surface area. It's very cost effective to the patient, and pretty much one of the only things you can do cost effectively to address this particular area. And in the lower face, where you don't want to bulk the area, it has a very particular use. It's amazing, but it has to be done carefully, because the 3 of the questions I got were from perioral issues with the product, and really shouldn't be injected around concentric muscles. So the next, we're going to number 3, the nodules. I want to show you one thing that's so common that leads to nodules. We're going to go over to show you a syringe, and we'll go through it there. So here's a syringe that I let sit for about 4 or 5 minutes. Not sure if you can appreciate, but as that sat down like this, if you look around the bottom here, right along the bottom, all the product is settled. So you can kind of see, I'm going to roll it over, and you can see all the product settled right at the bottom. Many people don't inject it for a few minutes. Now, if you inject that, by the time you get to this area and you inject, you're injecting a nodule. Nodules are rarely granulomas, but more commonly they're clumps of product that creating nodules. So you can't let it sit. So what do? Take the top off, and if we put air into it like this, you see it won't come out. And you can, before injecting, you shake it like this. You just swirl it. And then, before you put the top on, the needle on, you get all of the air out, and you put a bubble there before, there it is, before you put the hub on. Air will cause clogging, which leads me to another point. Sculptra clogging is another issue that people struggle with. You see me use a vortex sometimes, and that's because even when you shake it, a lot of times if it's sat for a while, people don't get all the Sculptra, and there's a lot of Sculptra that sits down here. So vortexing it really, really helps. But when you do this, look at the top. Right up in this region at the top, you're going to see the carboxymethylcellulose, which is what typically clogs it. Everybody believes that PLLA can absorb water, but it's a polymer. It actually cannot. And so I'll leave it to the smart people here. Let's see who can tell me what else is in the vial other than the PLLA that might lead to clogging. So you can respond in the channel, on the channel below, and let's see. But you can see when you put the needle in now from underneath and you draw up from the center, you will avoid all these clogging factors here. And that's how you draw it up. You don't need hot dog rollers or warmers or anything else to draw it up. Simply avoid all the clogging factors at the top. And let's see who can answer my question about what's in the vial. So there's a couple issues and concepts about Sculptra that I want to talk about. Sculptra is incredible. It does things that nothing else can do. Thickens the dermis, gives Sculptra glow. It lifts, it can create volume in the right dilutions. But those are some very important things to consider. I think the bottom line in all of this is get proper training, pay for the training, because really it's the only way to learn about Sculptra, but it's well worth the investment to do it properly for the safety of your patients, to have fun with the product and really use it to its maximal. Always keep several vials drawn up and ready to go and diluted, because if you have it on hand, you'll use a lot of it, and to get good at it, you need to continually use it. You can't just do it once in a while. It's a tough go to do that. So thanks for joining me today. Stay tuned here on this YouTube channel. Subscribe for continued helpful tips. Keep your skin and body beautiful, healthy, and vibrant.